now. I need like something to set this on. God, I didn't even have like somehow this new phone didn't have an iCloud set up. So I was not able to download, but I figured it out.
Okay. Retitling the video. Live coverage. Chud Watch.
I guess I could do either, I don't know, if vertical or horizontal, whatever.
It's live coverage. You gotta do whatever you can. Let me see. Should probably put the fundraiser link in the video description.
Now I'm able to use my actual phone.
CR Work 26. The Venmo is CR Work 26. And the name of this organization is Cedar Riverside Protection
Cedar Protection Alliance.
And what is the conceit of our fundraiser? Is it guess how many chuds show up and commit to donating $5 per chud?
Chud. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
And then Eric's going to call in, 1:30. To give us.
Guess how many racist jelly beans show up to City Hall and commit to at least $5 per racist jelly bean. And
he's getting egged apparently, so that's cool. The head chud. He's getting egged until he stream.
Oh well, no violence. We're anti-violence here. Nobody gets egged.
Silly violence. It's like it's like a clown style of violence. It's funny violence.
I've got my video renamed. I'm going to send you the link, Taylor, and then we can blast it out, and our live coverage can officially begin. I'm confusing myself because I have the live stream open while streaming. Okay. I'm sending the link. There we go. I'm gonna get our live coverage link out on my Blue Sky here. Just a couple of minutes. And let me know when you're ready to go, Taylor.
Oh, I'm ready.
You ready?
Ready.
Okay. We are live in Minneapolis for Chud Watch. The city is under federal occupation by paramilitary forces, ICE, and also a ragtag team of little weirdos is congregating in downtown trying to cause some trouble. It's an anti-Somali protest, essentially, that's happening, and we are raising money. We're raising money for the Cedar Riverside Protection Alliance. Their Venmo is CR Work 26, CRWORK 26 is their Venmo. Please donate. Taylor, Darlene, and I are here for live coverage. We will be taking calls from our reporters on the scene, describing what is happening in the area of downtown Minneapolis. We don't know if this group of little weirdos will go on the move. but we will be tracking it from Wedge Live World Headquarters, Taylor and I. Thank you for joining us. Taylor, do we have any initial reports of what it's looking like downtown?
Yeah, I heard from our reporter on the scene at about noon, which was the time that Jake Lang had told people to start gathering. It was a very, very funny phone call. I really wish we had been like recording earlier so you could have heard what some of the antics were. They were, last I heard, there were less than like 12 of them.
Okay.
Jake has like a speaker that he's using, but he's carrying it around in a cat backpack.
Okay. And Jake is one
Um,
of these right wing
yeah,
influencers leading the anti
Jake Lang
Somali
is the main
protest.
one. Yeah, he was a January 6th-er. So
Okay.
they
Did he
also
get a
have like,
pardon?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they also have this like big banner, I guess, but they don't know what they're doing with it, and they can't really maneuver it around the sidewalks, and they kept getting stuck. And they were trying to get into City Hall, which is closed today.
Hmm.
Um, Latest reports from chats were saying that silly string was being deployed against the chuds that have gathered. I don't know if that's accurate. I haven't checked in with our reporter on the scene.
Reports of silly string being deployed against the Chuds.
Yep.
Well, so the conceit of this fundraiser is guess how many racist jelly beans show up in downtown and commit to donating at least $5 per racist jelly bean. So if you think there will be 11 or 12, that's just $55 or $60. Maybe there will be more. We're encouraging as many racist chuds to get downtown as possible so we can maximize the amount of money we are raising for this important organization, Cedar Riverside Protection Alliance. Uh, and their Venmo is CRWORK 26. CRWORK 26. So get on Venmo and send them some money. Counteract all of the trouble being caused by these tiny little weirdos in downtown Minneapolis.
Tiny is accurate because that's also something I was told that the average height of them was about like 5'6".
Right, and I believe in Minneapolis, it is against the law to do this kind of discrimination against people for their height. I believe height discrimination, Taylor, is against the law here in Minneapolis. We're making an exception,
Yeah,
violating
I'm
our
sure.
own wokeness rules by making fun of these little weirdos. They are very tiny, tiny little men. One of them had a poster board. There's a Taylor, you and I are in our chat. Somebody posted a photo of like a science fair style poster board. They are diagramming their racism like it's a science project. Uh,
It's
what did it
like
say? It was
it was
grammatically
something
challenged too.
something about how this wouldn't have happened if ICE were here, but it's like ripped out of one of those like notebooks, like the lined notebooks, to the point that it even had like the edges of the paper still on it, like a child would, and just like
Yeah.
really like a pencil. Like you can't read it unless you're like right up by it.
And it says this never happened if ice was there or ice were there. And I suppose these are photos of victims of violent crime. I don't know what the point of this poster board is, but describing what I'm looking like. I wish we had the ability to display what I'm looking at. We're a low tech operation here. We can only describe
Yeah.
what we're seeing in the
Well,
chats.
let's check in with our guy on the scene.
Oh, should I get on my phone?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Should we do a group call here? Can he like group signal call us so we can both hear him, and then I'll put him on speaker into my microphone?
Let's see. I have to call in there. Let me see.
We're about to go live to our Wedge Live reporter on the scene in downtown, Ethan, who was on Chud Watch. Neither one of us wanted to venture out into the cold to get a look at these people, but Ethan is on the scene for us. Let me see.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I believe so. You are on the air, Ethan, our reporter on the scene. Tell us what you're seeing.
Yes. Hello. coming to you live from the federal courthouse downtown, and I'm seeing 12 racist chuds wandering their way around, and no less than, I would say, 1,500 counter-protesters. Jake Lang is currently moving through the crowd as there is a horde around him, much like a queen bee moves through a hive and is followed by the worker bees.
Okay, so you're saying about, did you say 12 or 15 racist chuds?
I counted 12. There might have been 13. I could not tell if a man in a wolf costume was a member of the counter-protest or the protest. Sometimes sometimes the furry community is, it can be on various sides of the political spectrum. I would not cast them as a monolith.
I would have never met a furry who's been a white nationalist, Ethan. Are you sure about that? I'm pretty sure they're on our side.
Look, I'm not here to bemoan any furries. However, there was one here being chased out, so we might have found the first.
Okay, and so you said there were about 1,500. Is that what you're estimating the counter-protesting crowd is?
The counter-protest, I think there's about 1,000 to 1,500 people. If I could be very off, this is my first time counting a crowd, so I'm going to take a real stab in the dark and say it's 1,500.
Now, is it true these are some tiny little men? Are these some tiny little guys that we're dealing with?
I am 6 feet tall in these boots, 5'11" normally. There was one man taller than me. Okay. He did look very generally Minnesotan, but the rest were not members. If they were members of the master race, I would like another definition of the Ubermensch that they are describing.
It's not impressive physical specimens.
They also were not particularly impressive intellectually. I have shared a photo of one of their poster boards, which appeared to be made up of 3 photos of sadly murdered women and one piece of paper ripped out of a spiral notebook and written on with pencil.
Right, and then grammatically challenged, right?
If I could, I will have to go back to the tape and look at what exactly he wrote, but it does seem like I would not be surprised if there was grammatical errors in what he wrote down.
I want you to tell them that we speak English in Minneapolis, and if they're not going to follow the rules, get out.
Right. Well, I would love to. However, that man was carrying along with another vertically challenged individual a banner attached to a 2x4 that said "Americans Against Islamification," which they kept bumping into people, and they couldn't really walk through the crowd, and they kept having to roll up and move. So they got out pretty quickly. The banner has now been ripped up. I believe Status Quo News got that on video.
Okay. Well, don't be directing people to other coverage of this event with actual video of the scene.
No, of course not. This is your one and only source of on-the-ground news. We're currently headed south on 3rd Avenue. I believe people are chasing Jake Lang out of the city now.
Okay.
This I don't believe has been done since the logging times of Minneapolis, where they would chase people out. I think it's actually a real testament to Mr. Lang that there are probably 1,000 people chasing him out of downtown.
Well, we were talking about this earlier with Taylor about how it's illegal to discriminate against people based on height. We just want to make it clear that they're being chased out of the city not because they're short little weirdos, but because of their views, the
Right,
content of their
exactly.
character.
Exactly. We, even though this is a town of large Northern European people who have welcomed it with open arms immigrants and my family, Jews, back in the early 1900s, that does not mean that you can have these views in this city. These views are abhorrent, and hence why currently there is a large group of people being currently chasing one or two men out of the city.
Are we really down to one or two? Because we want to raise a lot of money, and the conceit of this fundraiser is we count up the racist jelly beans and decide, per jelly bean how much we're going to donate. I say $10
Right,
per jelly bean at least.
right.
Do you have an updated count?
I, I, I don't, because I was standing where Jake Ling was posted up in a window of the city hall, getting pelted by bottles and snowballs, and he stood there talking into a microphone that was attached to a speaker in a cat backpack, and he was there for probably 45 minutes while various members of his crew ended up peeling off. Now, I did see one of them, which is the small redhead, who it has been advertised that he actually has some serious debt due to lack of child support payments. And I did see him getting roughed up, and I could only describe him reveling in the frustration of the crowd. I wouldn't say frustration, hatred of the crowd. But the count still remains at 13.
Okay, so if people are donating $10 per jelly bean, that's $130 we want people to be donating
Correct.
per person.
Correct.
Yeah,
Per
to
person.
Cedar.
It's now. I would like to. We are currently headed. You're currently headed west on 6th. It appears we're taking a left on 2nd Avenue now. I would like to also point out, if I may, bring up a wonderful thing. For years, downtown council and Mayor Fry have tried to activate the city. Might I suggest bringing in 12 or 13 racist chuds every month. The streets have become alive. Yeah. People are everywhere. This is now a walkable, bikeable city. The traffic has come to a halt. We've truly taken the city back from cars.
I think that's a great point. Maybe we could close Nicollet Mall to chase these tiny little weirdos through the streets every Sunday in the summer.
Right, exactly. and I would like maybe an aquatennial, chase a weirdo out of the city. Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to let you go. If you have some closing thoughts, final observations here before we let you go.
Some final observations. One, just really delighted to see how many people have showed up to chase these tiny little weirdos out of the city. If they are trying to go to Cedar Riverside, they're going the exact opposite direction.
Okay, that's
good. It appears that they're going into the Hotel Indigo. We are now posted up outside the Hotel Indigo. And I would like to also say that if you are going to make a sign, I would politely ask you to discuss it with some friends. I've been disappointed by the sign skills. They're very wordy. A ton of them don't make sense. Yeah. They're word plays that just fall flat. It's perfectly fine to workshop these with your friends before going out. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. You can just say fuck eyes. Oh, can I swear?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. you could just say fuck ice. I mean, that gets the point across. There's no reason. I did see one man with a very tiny, very tiny pennant that said Ted Bundy was a Republican, which I thought was nice. But yeah, it's kind of an anticlimactic tone here, and it seems like people were ready for a much larger crowd, but made do with the unfortunate bloated face of one Jacob Lang. So we all made do, and plus we raised a little money. Thank you, Jacob.
And again, I think it's illegal to make fun of people in Minneapolis, at least. We have these woke rules now. We can't discriminate against people for their height or having a bloated face.
You can't, but I can height discriminate.
And frankly, I would never. However, I am just simply reporting facts. And the fact of the matter is, these were not tall racist judges. These were in fact short racist judges.
Just a pale, fleshy, short little jelly beans.
Oh, very pale, very pale. These people have been maybe in these might have if one were to imagine a mole person, the color of their skin. Now, again, not saying that's a bad thing, right? That's just a color.
That's master race stuff, I think, right? Master race stuff.
I am simply just describing what I am seeing here on the ground and reporting the facts.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ethan, from downtown Minneapolis, on Chud Watch, on the ground, risking his own life to bring you these reports. Thank you. And if you see anything else you need to let us know about, you call back in, okay?
Yes, I will, of course. Anything for the #1 news site, only news site covering this. Please ignore the gaggle of people that have press on. They won't give coverage quite like this.
Okay, thank you, Ethan.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Taylor has been monitoring the chat lines for the latest reports. Has anything come in on the chat?
Yeah, Status Quo has reported that Jake Lang may have left his backpack behind. So it's very shades of ICE and FBI abandoning those couple vehicles over north the other night.
Don't abandon your equipment. People are finding stuff. I hope they didn't find a gun or documents in there.
It's at Hotel Indigo. In case anybody wants to know where they're at, that's where they ran into. Hotel
So
Indigo.
are we talking about the cat backpack with the speaker on it?
Oh, good question. Because if so, that's not really anything. Those are just bubble backpacks. Those, I'm going to try to clarify.
And everyone, please stay tuned. We're expecting a call from Minneapolis's most obscure, least respected, and least powerful elected official, Eric Harris Bernstein, on the Minneapolis Board of Estimate and Taxation. We've seen a lot of our elected officials on the ground, keeping watch over their communities, being heroes. We saw Elliot Payne get shoved and menaced by a team of ICE agents, our council president here in Minneapolis. We've seen Jason Chavez doing good work, tireless work out there on Lake Street and surrounding areas. Who else?
Amber Frederick we've seen
really on the park board.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Eric Harris Bernstein, who we saw stomping around on a video recently.
I ran into him when Greg Bovino and his convoy rolled into Loring Park. I ran over, and then he was there. And I was like, what are you doing here? And he just happened to be following him around and just was there in his big, EHB jacket.
You can't miss our Eric Harris Bernstein. Just chasing Bovino in a vehicle? Is that what he was doing?
I think he was in the convoy, people. And then he was like, this is probably the culmination, of the day, and then...
Some domestic terrorism type stuff.
Not the vehicle that we never found. It's stolen.
Right, we never found the stolen Chevy Suburban.
Where's that?
Let me see. Anything else interesting come in over the chat besides how these tiny little sad guys and their science fair poster boards?
No, surprisingly not. I'm in at the downtown ones and the Loring ones, and it's there's a lot of plate checks people have been doing for ICE and stuff, but overall it's been pretty quiet downtown for everything that's happened. It's been there's been a lot of activity over in Loring still at the quality daycare. They're still trying to figure it out. Elizabeth Schaefer did come back yesterday and went to Albie Kitchen and talked to them, and she actually had a really good idea that no one had thought of. So I'll give her credit for this. She suggested that the daycare sign be like taken down because it's closed, and people just keep coming there to take photos with it.
There you go.
Unfortunately, she couldn't get a hold of the owner yesterday, so they weren't able to take the sign down. So the Somali Cafe is just closed today in case anything happens. But I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, just take it down. Like, we'll make it not a pilgrimage site.
I'm going to give Eric a call
Yeah.
and see if he's available for us.
I also sent him the video link too. I told him to join.
Oh, was he going to join by video?
I think so.
Hi.
Hello, Eric. Are you ready
Steve
for
wants
us?
to.
Yeah, should I join? I'm
Yeah,
ready
hop
to
on.
join.
Yeah, hop on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
I guess I could have texted him that way, but I'm enjoying doing these live phone calls. And again, we're raising money for the Cedar Riverside Protection Alliance, who are working very hard to protect their community. Guess how many racist jelly beans? Our last count was 13, and we want you to donate an amount of money per racist jelly bean. And I'm recommending a minimum of $5, $10 if you're feeling generous. So, $65, $130. Welcome, Eric Harris Bernstein. Just for full disclosure, I introduced you earlier as our most obscure, least respected elected official in Minneapolis, Eric Harris Bernstein, member of the Board of Estimate and Taxation. Congratulations on defeating undervote in your election to the Board of Estimate and Taxation. Maybe the only BET candidate in history who has defeated undervote.
I think honestly, Carol Becker is like the historic champion of BET
Don't say
candidates
that. No,
for better
don't say
or worse.
that. You are.
But I have to be honest. But thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor for you to have me here.
It is, yeah. Have you been out today at all?
I have not been out today yet. I just came from a huge, incredible meeting of neighbors in Kingfield. There were like 600 people, I heard, at this church in my neighborhood. Well, actually, in the neighborhood just south of mine. Elizabeth Glidden organized it, and there was incredible information. Aisha Gomez spoke, Soren Stevenson spoke, and just lots of people who have been involved and want to get involved in pushing back against this awful invasion that we're living through right now.
What have you been experiencing and doing over the last week? Like, what have your days been like?
Well, honestly, it's been longer than the last week. I mean, obviously things are getting more intense, but I'm, close with my state representative, Aisha Gomez, and she has been living this life of tracking ICE and trying to observe their movements and protect neighbors and help people who need mutual aid and things like that for, over a month now. With others like Dan Engelhardt, a lot of local representatives, and obviously just a lot of folks who have been doing this for a long time. And so I've been doing different things like that, engaging in the local rapid response, commuting, trying to track their movements through neighborhoods, somewhat for the last month or so, going down to the Whipple facility and observing their movements there, trying to track vehicles that are coming in and out. And so we have an idea of what threats might face our neighborhoods. But in the last week, as we all know, obviously things have gotten much more intense. And so I have been doing my best to show up, in my own neighborhood, but then also going to places where there's, expressed need on, I can't remember the day now. I want to say it was Monday or something, or Tuesday. I've been starting my mornings at Green Elementary, doing patrols there because ICE has circled that school during arrival time and just harassing people and trying to intimidate them. So there's a lot of us that are showing up to Green Elementary in the morning and just, standing around, welcoming people as they come, making sure that we're there. But on Tuesday, I went from there. We saw something happening down the street. A bunch of us moved 2 blocks up, and surrounded ICE agents as they abducted a driver, a single driver in their car. We were whistling at them and shouting, but obviously there's a limit to what you can really do. And then we followed some other officers that were at that scene around the corner to a much bigger scene, which is now another one of these incidents, infamous events, where the woman who was trying to get to her doctor's appointment was dragged out of her car and carried like hog-tied almost into an SUV and brutalized. A bunch of us from that first scene ended up at that scene, yelling at them peacefully, blowing whistles, but obviously expressing our rage at how they're treating us. And that was the first time, I guess, that I experienced the chemical irritants and the other like aggressive crowd control measures, the shoving and the tackling, and the flashbangs, which are insane. That they're using these explosive devices on unarmed civilians. But that was a huge scene. A bunch of us got gassed that day. Some people got it very bad. Some people got maced. So it's been a lot of, like trying to be where we need to be to observe and obstruct however possible, and just be sand in the gears of this awful machine of oppression. I was on the north side as well with a lot of people after they shot that man in the leg. And that was probably the single most horrifying thing that I've ever experienced. We were lined up opposite ICE agents, and there's lots of video of this and pictures by lots of major media. They were behind caution tape that they had put up, and they pushed under their own caution tape and advanced on a peaceful crowd and fired volley after volley of tear gas and flashbangs, and like brutalized, attacked anyone who got within arm's length of them as we tried to actually retreat. So they attacked a peaceful retreating crowd with weapons of war. There's a video that there was an image that I will like never forget of a woman who was standing just to my right screaming at them, just how could you do that? And I just, the sound of her voice and these moments I think that a lot of us have witnessed over the last week are just, I don't know, one of the more profoundly disturbing, horrifying things I've ever witnessed in my life.
We're seeing a lot of violence for the sake of what seems like anger and frustration, as opposed to like we're trying to achieve some effect here. Like we're just frustrated with you. We are angry. Here's a gas bomb. Enjoy that and go about your day. Yeah. And I don't think.
I mean, they're right.
It's not working. I don't think it's not achieving the desired political aim. It's making everyone think, oh, gee, I think we might be on the road to fascism. I don't like this. ICE is getting more unpopular. I don't think they're achieving what they think. They're hurting us very badly, but they're hurting themselves too.
Well, I don't think it's helping them gain popularity, but I think it's an open question as to whether it's achieving their goal, because you have to consider what their goal could be. And if it is to incite more violence, or to at least create scenes that are chaotic enough to portray as violent, then is that the justification they want to invoke something like the Insurrection Act, or to paint Minneapolis as a lawless, rebellious place? That's my fear, because I witnessed over north that night. I saw this happen. 10 ICE agents charged up the street, sprinting at a peaceful, dispersed crowd, and tackled one or two people in the crowd and dragged them off. Like, people were milling about. They had just beat the hell out of us with a bunch of, these non-lethal munitions or whatever, like the chemical irritants and whatnot. People were kind of scattering. People were starting to go to their cars. I was actually about to try and get out of there. And literally, I ran up the street with a bunch of people away from a charging, like squadron or whatever of ICE agents that then tackled someone. I don't know if they just saw, well, that guy's brown, not black, so maybe he's Mexican or something like that. And they just dragged this. And I think it was a teenager. that they dragged off, and I don't know if they like kind of took him and then let him go, or if they actually detained him for longer. But point being, they're instigating. They're instigating for some purpose, because maybe if you get the right, video at the right time, it looks like the crowd is the aggressor or something like that. So far, I think every protest and like tense moment I've seen, people are being extraordinarily restrained. I mean, screaming at people, at the agents, but like nothing beyond that. I honestly, there wasn't even a snowball thrown that night, as far as I saw, before they gassed us. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry, just to go back to your thing about the political aim. I agree they're getting less popular. I agree it's a bad look for them, but do they care about that? Are they ready to push this over yet another brink and say, try and send federal troops in or something like that? I don't know the answer, but I hope you're right, and I think yes, you're right. I think it's a bad look. I think the public approval of that will get worse and worse, and I do think that's our best hope, because realistically, the only two things that I can think of that change this is one, Donald Trump decides he no longer likes the aesthetics and the vibe of being like the ICE invader president. And he just decides to kind of pivot to somewhere else, or think more about, talk more about his invasion of Venezuela or something, and kind of let this quiet down. That's one. So big Donald Trump's sort of irrational thought process. And then the other would be if their ranks, the ranks of ICE, just like the morale deteriorates to a point where they can't hire, they can't sustain their force. And I think that's sort of what we're working towards, is just to make them very consciously aware of the horror of what they are doing, and the violation of our rights that they are perpetrating, and hope that at some level just becomes unmanageable for that agency.
Yeah. I think they enjoy inflicting terror on people. They really enjoy that. We won't be able to convince them that's not fun, but I think their job just is not fun. They are extremely frustrated with how difficult so many people are making their job. They can't go around unobserved.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating, and you see them lashing out with anger in the way that they deploy these less lethal ammunition.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I'm mixed on whether I think how many. I mean, there's certainly a population of them that enjoy it, but then it also feels like there are. I have been making a point of making eye contact with them when we're in these face-off situations. And there's some of them where you look at them, or you talk to them, or you ask them a question. I've been telling, let me see your face a lot. And not all of the reactions are that smug, like aggressive sort of disregard. There are people there who are maybe they're afraid, maybe they have their internal doubts, but there's variations, at least just reading from people's facial expressions, of how they experience the crowds and the position that they're in. So some of them, I think, are here to cause problems and attack people, and then some of them I think they're more for the money, and there's probably everything in between. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wonder about that, and I wonder what sort of conduct from us as the observers and the protesters would is most effective. I mean, obviously, people are doing whatever that comes to mind, but I've been trying to think excuse me, if I'm one of those guys.
Is it perhaps to bring them a Pepsi, like that advertisement from a few years ago? Have you tried that, bringing them a Pepsi?
I haven't brought them a Pepsi yet, but this is probably so stupid. I don't know, I'm gonna get dragged for admitting this. I have had the thought of printing out a short letter that just expresses at least my feeling about what they're doing and why it's wrong, in a way that I think maybe they could in some way that some of them might maybe care about, if anything, just to I don't know,
it's never wrong to lead with love, Eric. We're not going to judge you for that. It's never wrong.
Well, I did say my most controversial thing that I've said publicly since this all started, apparently was on Blue Sky. I said, like, I'm all for anything that brings on shame for these people, that makes them, nervous, that makes them uncomfortable in any way. I cursing, yelling, I'm doing all of it. But I don't particularly find like like particularly like gay jokes and stuff. Like I think if it's a crowd that's angry about what they're doing, it's very, I would imagine, upsetting, or it could be upsetting for them, or like scary, they're in a hostile environment, whatever. But like if the crowd's just there to like be like, oh bro, you got a small dick, why don't you suck bovino off, or whatever, which is like a very common comment. It's like, then we just look like we're also angry, irrational assholes. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I do
what
have
about
that
height?
thought.
Can we make fun of them for being short little weirdos? Is that fine?
I think height and weight. I don't. I feel like
that's against the law in Minneapolis now, Eric. As an elected official, I think you should know that no discrimination based on height.
Yeah, it's true. No, I mean I hear that too. I mean, honestly, any ad hominem in my mind takes away from the point. It's not that they're a certain height or a certain weight, or they look away or whatever, or like what we might infer about their personal lives. It is that they are here violating our constitutional rights and perpetrating violence on peaceful people. And so, like, to me, hammer that. Point out, like, the obvious, like, contradictions and evils that they are carrying out, and don't let up for a second about the awfulness of what they're doing. And, like, the other stuff is, you could say sort of a distraction. But I said this was a controversial take because I posted it on Blue Sky, and then people were like, everyone's like, well, if you don't have enough backbone, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, all right, guy.
Oh, we have chats coming in. I haven't been looking at the chat.
Oh. There's also things are being reported that that like people may have been dispersing downtown, and then MPD may have shown up and maybe kind of escalating shit, which they, unclear. That's what some people are saying, that MPD are there. And so now the theory is maybe Jake and them like called 911. One thing they said that they found was a Quran with like bacon in the pages. They left that behind.
Well, we have,
because he had threatened to burn a Quran here.
Did
like,
it ultimately turn out to be just the one guy?
It was him, and then there were maybe about like 12, I think the final count was, of the sheer amount of other. And then they got chased away and ran away. Good. Yeah.
My feeling about this counter protest question was, I think you got to show up when folks like that show up and display, some protective, presence and resistance, whatever. But I did sort of feel like, well, why am I going to go to this AA Nazi ball game when we've got the Yankees in town? Like, we've got the federal government Nazis are here, attacking our neighborhoods. And so, like, let these hobbyists walk around downtown for an hour and a half and get frostbite, and we can keep our eyes on the people with the, monopolistic, violent power of the state.
That was what I thought too. It almost felt like a bit of a distraction. Like, you get people out of their own neighborhoods that they're used to patrolling and get them downtown, and then suddenly it's a lot easier for ICE to do whatever they want.
Right. Well, that's always that's the ongoing question. Although, I mean, honestly, I don't know if it's been said on this stream yet, but like the thing that's been making me sad and scared the last, 36 hours or so is it feels like it has gotten a little quieter in the Twin Cities. And we know that the worst abductions are occurring in the suburbs right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that they don't have the mass of people that we have here, and there hasn't been as much intensive organizing there. And so the amount of, the amount of resistance and protection there is for folks like in Anoka or wherever else is a lot less. They're a lot more exposed. So that's very sad to think about. And I think the movement is evolving, and we're getting more organized. So hopefully we'll be sending people out there. I know that this all ends with me driving to Shakopee like 4 days a week. But I'm fine with that if it means protecting some
But I'm guessing those communities don't like it as much as we don't like it. There's a reason they're not doing this in Florida and Texas, where the actual mass of undocumented people are, is
Right.
because not even Republicans want this happening in their communities. They don't want to go to their favorite Mexican restaurant and have it not open because ICE came through and arrested people, or just have chaos on the streets. I'm assuming people have friends who are not white who would feel bad, even if they're Republicans, would feel bad if those people were suddenly taken and gone from their communities. Like, this is not going to be popular anywhere you do it. And so I think we were getting a lot of headlines before this all happened. It was just like nonstop Tim Walz fucked up coverage, a whole bunch of headlines about the fraud stuff. And now it is nonstop masked ISIS looking guys on the street at the behest of Donald Trump, smashing windows, pulling women out of their cars, shooting and killing people. Totally like reversed what I think was a little bit of momentum for them into a lot of momentum against them, just from a political perspective.
I think that's I agree. I've been wondering how will this go down in those purple and red suburbs and exurbs.
Well, have you seen what Brad Tabke's been doing?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, a little bit. I know he's been super active, and I'm a big fan of Brad's. But what in particular?
He got featured by Alpha News yesterday because all day long he just tweets where ICE are in Shakopee, just like nonstop. To the point, one of my friends sent me a screenshot of his tweets and was like, "Is this guy a bot? He just does this all day." I was like, "No, that's really the state rep." So Alpha News is like, "This guy's featuring where ICE are in real time."
Brad is a real one. I've been close with Brad since 2022. And he's a wonderful guy and an incredible credit to that community. And I mean, just along those lines, isn't it so? I wrote down a couple of notes that are the things that I would want to say, and I just think is it not so incredible the way we've seen people come? Not that Brad's coming out of the woodwork, but all of these people show up and put their bodies in harm's way. Give their time and put themselves outside in the cold and connect with, just the way we are organizing and resisting this is like last night, Jaylani from CARE said it in this beautiful way at the town hall, the Ilhan town hall. He said, it's a horrifying time, but in some way we should cherish this moment, because have you ever seen a city more united, more interested in caring for one another, more active in thinking about how to show up and how to protect each other? I can't tell you how many new phone numbers are in my phone of neighbors that I've always waved to or whatever, but hey, let me actually be in touch with you just so we can protect each other and everyone else. And just going to restaurants that are struggling given what's happening, and just all of the ways. I mean, I'm out at some point every day, and a lot of times at night, and on Central Ave and Northeast, groups of people, 2, 3, 4 people on every corner. I mean, it's just I've been really emotional this week just at all these displays of solidarity and bravery, and it's I hope that we can remember how we need each other and how defenseless we were when we were alone, and how powerful it felt when we stood together. It's just been in some ways incredible, even though it's horrifying.
Look at that. We got a comment. Everybody loves Eric Harris Bernstein in the comments here. Look at that.
I have a very small, very, very small, but dedicated fan base.
I can't go anywhere without asking if you need a warm drink. That's how I'm experiencing this. I go out with my whistle, walk around looking for carloads of masked paramilitaries, and occasionally you run into someone who's like, "Hey, you need some hand warmers?" Because people are just grateful. People are grateful if they can't be out walking around. They're grateful for the people who are, and they're opening up their homes. They're like, "Can I bring you some hot cocoa?"
Yeah.
or some water or some hand warmers. It is, I've never experienced it, not even in 2020, the degree of like people wanting to do nice things for you and are grateful for the nice things you're doing and wanting to match it. It's been remarkable.
It's yeah, no, absolutely. I've been saying it's in some ways it's the anti-COVID because COVID was this I mean it was similar in this bizarro COVID, I guess, because it's like in some ways it's like this similar like all-encompassing like super distracting like horrifying thing. I keep using the word horrifying. World-changing event. But in COVID, it was like your neighbors are a danger to you. You've got to isolate yourself. Leaving your house is dangerous. And in this, amidst this federal invasion, the only safety that we have is with each other. And the best place to be is outside, observing, standing on a corner with a friend or a neighbor or a stranger, and talking about what's happening and observing what's happening and trying to be there. Um, Taylor, you hitting the vape in the middle of my.
Oh, you can't stop her. She's out of control. She
It's
joined the
medical.
DSA
Medical.
vaping on a live stream. What's
Medical.
going
Oh
on?
my God. I love it. I love it. But yeah, I don't know. So in some ways, it's just like it's in the way that COVID was like this, out of necessity, of course, but this antisocial pressure. This invasion is this intense pro-social pressure, and I think that that's like incredibly important for getting through this. And I hope that it lasts a little bit in the way that it did for COVID. We had these lingering, sort of hesitations about going in public and these, like sort of we fell out of the habit of going out as much and we're staying in more. And I'm just like, I'm kind of hopeful that I'm hopeful that we retain this comfort. Like, before this, there were all these talks about public safety in Minneapolis, and I really feel like, not that I had much fear before, but I just cannot imagine being afraid of a civilian now that I've experienced my fear of the federal government. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's just like I was in North and there was like a group of younger guys and we were talking to them after, and not that like normally I would find them threatening, but like they're the kind of person that maybe if you were like scaredy cat or whatever, you'd be like, oh, those guys. And they were just like, I just really hope the state and local government shows up and protects us. And like we were just like talking about like how scary and like intense it was when they the federal troops charged us and whatever, and like it was just like thinking back to what the fear of Minneapolis was even just a month or 6 weeks ago, it's like what a different fucking world, like.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, there was like a carjacking craze, happening across the country, and it was all that you'd see on the local news. And like now it's nonstop carjackings by federal agents.
Right.
Only they don't want your car; they want
Right.
your whole self, and they want to
Right.
take you and send you to a Central American gulag potentially.
Yeah,
It
and leave
reminds,
your car crashed on the sidewalk.
it reminds me a lot of 2020, not for COVID, but for what was happening here during the uprising.
Sure.
Just in terms of like, I haven't felt as connected to my neighborhood as I did back then. Like, I'm still in the same neighborhood. And, back then we had the same thing, when that weekend when we were just abandoned by law enforcement, like all the neighbors, we all kind of had to group together to look out for suspicious vehicles when there were people like just riding around trying to start shit. And so it really, for me, I'm getting a lot of flashbacks to that part of 2020 where neighborhoods, people are all coming together, they're looking out for each other. And it's just
Yeah.
a big moment where the rest of the world's eyes are kind of on us as well. And like, so that's what for me, it's really 2020 strongly, but in good ways, because
Right.
like, there's so many like, I had surgery, so I haven't been really in my own neighborhood much. But like they had a big meeting, I think maybe like 50 or so people showed up in Loring Park just from the chats to meet. I know that Whittier had their neighborhood meeting of like 800 people. Like this is even on a new level from what we were in 2020. Like everyone is plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. The in-person meetings seem to just be really getting going in the last couple days, and I think there's going to be a lot more of them. And I think it's like just one of the more, both, again, one of the most terrifying and one of the most hopeful moments I've ever been a part of. And I really just hope that we remember, there's this like intense sort of like, this is maybe like a deeper political thought than is right for this setting, but I'll try and share it coherently. I think there's this way in which there's a lot of like lefties, DSA, even anarchists or whatever, who I think get very involved in moments like this. And I don't think they get enough credit for that, for being like on the vanguard of the people who are watching these threats and pointing them out, like the way Aisha Gomez was out so much like right away when people like even didn't really understand what was happening, and others like that. And I think part of that instinct is that those people, and I count myself as one of them, feel in some ways we always live under this regime, that we always live under a social order that is extremely oppressive, oppressive, and that when you see it like this so clearly, it's like, I don't know, it's like this flashing light that you can't ignore. It's like this magnetic force of like, yeah, like we don't see the sort of fascist or really oppressive parts of our society every day so clearly, but we know that like we're the richest society in the history of the world, and yet we have people living on the street, and we have inhumane conditions in our prisons, and we have all of these like awful economic deprivations, and yet we like kind of just muddle through it day to day, and people suffer for no reason because we've made policy choices that don't support them, that don't grant us basic human rights. And so, I don't know, I just like, when you see this awful contradiction so plainly, it makes me hopeful that like people will understand the connection between what is happening now to these vulnerable groups, and what is also happening to these vulnerable groups even when we're not under federal invasion. That there's people who live on the thinnest margin, people who live with awful health conditions that they can't get treated, people, and on and on. And so again, I keep coming back to this theme of like, wow, it's so beautiful to see us stand up for one another, and I hope that we can remember how important that was and how powerful it was, and I hope that we can not just fight back to the status quo, but fight back or towards a better future as well, and that this is impetus for more organizing and more solidarity that is expressed in a multitude of ways.
We have a question for Eric in the chat. Is there any EHB merch left? Any EHB merch?
I've got one that I'm saving for my dad. But I don't know if there's interest. I could do a fundraiser, a charity, I almost said COVID relief, ICE invasion relief fundraiser, and I could order some more and sell them if people really want.
Okay, well that is an option. And one last plug for the group we are fundraising for. It's the Cedar Riverside Protection Alliance. They are taking your donations on Venmo at CRWORK26. CRWORK26. That's on Venmo. They do good work. And so we had 13 little racist jelly beans downtown Minneapolis. And I'm saying $5 or $10 per jelly bean is what we'd like to see people donating. Or even,
okay, and I have
more.
An announcement on this front.
Okay, go ahead.
Myself and my counterpart on the BET, Steve Brandt, we are both donating $10 per jelly bean that showed up downtown.
Wow.
And not just $130 each to Cedar Riverside today, but Steve and I will be donating our entire January BET salary to various rapid response causes TBD.
Wow. Steve Brandt and Eric Harris Bernstein, the best Board of Estimate and Taxation tandem we've ever had. Taxation sensations is what I call you both.
But seriously, yeah. So Steve and I are going to do that. I knew I was coming on this, and I was like, I want to be able to include Steve in this. And he was, no questions asked. Oh, sorry, not no questions asked. He asked one question, which I think you guys will appreciate. He said, "Yes, absolutely. I'm good for it. Let's do it." And then he looked at me and he said, "Net or gross?" So that's BET. That's quality BET banter right there. But I think we'll go with gross, just to err on the side of generosity. And got to figure out. I've been struggling to think, like, it's just there's so many places to give. So I would love for folks that watch this to reach out or help me think of, like, how to order my thoughts about where to give money, because it's like, you want to give to the rent relief, you want to give to the food drives, there's diaper drives, there's neighborhood stuff, school-based stuff, and it's just hard to pick. And it's like, is it better to just give like $50 to a bunch of them, or like whatever? I don't know. So yeah, but Steve and I are gonna figure out a way to give our hefty BET salaries away.
That's very nice. Thank you. And I imagine by this point, after an hour of this pledge-a-thon, we've probably raised over $1 million. I don't have the final total, but I imagine it's very impressive.
It's got to be at least that, a couple million, I'm sure. If you've been on for a full hour. Yeah,
get on Venmo and go to CRWORK 26.
I'm now seeing these chats, and I just want to flag one.
Okay.
From Colossal Tree, that just points out that West Metro has been very organized, collecting and distributing supplies. So I don't want to be interpreted as saying the suburbs are not organized. I don't know much about what's happening there. So good for you guys. And I'm happy to hear it, and I hope that we can all continue to coordinate more and be as effective as possible.
Also, Professor Chaos says top tier banter. Thank you, Professor Chaos. Taylor,
Professor
do you have
Chaos,
any?
Reach out to me on some channel. We'll talk about we'll try and figure out some merch.
Okay, Taylor, do you have any final thoughts? Do you have any updates? Have all the little weirdos been chased out of downtown?
Yeah, it's NPD showed up briefly. Apparently they've left now. There's still some counter protesters downtown. It's thinned down a lot. They're still at like the government center, the counter protesters, but now the report is that the organized counter protests left the government center. So it's just probably stragglers at this point.
Oh, I forgot to play my siren.
Oh, you didn't play the siren?
I was going to play my Chud Watch siren, and I forgot to do it. But I guess it didn't really live up to the hype, so there was no need to play. The Chud Watch is over. It's fine to go outside now. All the little weirdos have been chased out. But don't forget to donate to the Cedar Riverside Protection Alliance on Venmo, CRWORK 26, CRWORK 26. Thank you to Eric Harris Bernstein of the Minneapolis Board of Estimate and Taxation. Thank you, Taylor Darlene, for joining me, my co-anchor of today's coverage. I'm your host, John Edwards. I guess this has been a live Chud Watch edition of the Wedge Live podcast. Thank you for listening and watching.